Ancient cities hold celestial secrets in their very foundations. This video uncovers the master builders who aligned entire urban landscapes with the motion of the stars. You will learn to see ancient ruins in a completely new light, decoding a hidden language written in stone and sky. How did cultures across the globe achieve such impossible precision without modern tools? And why did they encode this knowledge into their city plans? What forgotten connection between Earth and sky are we only just beginning to remember? A single researcher works through the night, his charts spread across a weathered table under the vast desert sky. He is not just mapping stars, he is searching for a pattern, a ghostly blueprint connecting those constellations to the crumbled walls of a city below. This is the heart of archaeoastronomy, a field dedicated to uncovering how ancient peoples wove the cosmos into the very fabric of their world. The renowned scholar Anthony Aveni captured this idea perfectly, stating that the sky was a critical part of the cosmological landscape in which the ancients situated themselves. It is a discipline that bridges worlds, merging the precise calculations of astronomy with the grounded discoveries of archaeology and the cultural insights of anthropology. To understand these ancient architects, we must first grasp the celestial milestones they tracked so diligently. The most fundamental were the solstices, the 2 days each year when the sun reaches its highest and lowest points in the sky, marking the longest and shortest days. But their observations went far deeper, tracking the moon's more complex 18.6-year cycle, known as a lunar standstill, when our satellite rises and sets at its most extreme northerly and southerly points on the horizon. These were not abstract events. They were the sacred clockwork of the universe, the fixed points around which entire cities could be oriented. How could cultures without telescopes or written records achieve such breathtaking alignment between their earthly dwellings and these cosmic cycles? The answer lies not in advanced technology, but in generations of patient, meticulous observation, a tradition of watching the sky until its rhythms became as familiar as the path to one's own home. From that patient observation emerged a powerful and universal tool, the path of the sun itself. Picture the summer solstice dawn at Stonehenge, a spectacle where the rising sun perfectly frames the massive heel stone, casting a long beam of light into the heart of the circle. This was not a random event, it was a meticulously engineered moment marking the longest day of the year. Solar alignments like this were among the most common and powerful methods ancient architects used to anchor their cities to the cosmos. By tracking the sun's annual journey, they could define sacred spaces, establish ceremonial calendars, and organize their entire world. The solstices and equinoxes were not just dates on a calendar, they were critical turning points that dictated when to plant, when to harvest, and when to honor the gods. This required astonishing precision. Consider the Great Pyramid of Giza, its square base aligned to the cardinal directions with an error of less than 1/15 of a degree. To achieve this, builders likely used the sun's own shadow or the constant rotation of circumpolar stars, methods demanding a deep understanding of geometry and years, even generations, of recorded observation. These solar markers did more than just tell time, they infused the city with spiritual meaning. A temple aligned to the solstice sunrise was not merely a building, it was a cosmic clock and a direct channel to the divine, a place where heaven and earth met on a specific, predictable day. The sun's predictable path was a divine guide, shaping both the physical layout of a city and the spiritual rhythm of its people's lives. But if the sun provided a daily and annual rhythm, another celestial body offered a far more complex and mysterious beat to follow. The moon offered a far more complex rhythm than the steady sun. Its path across the sky shifts dramatically over an 18.6-year cycle, a celestial dance ancient architects observed with breathtaking precision. In the Mayan city of Caracal, certain structures are precisely oriented to the moon's most extreme rising and setting points, known as the lunar standstills. These were not alignments for a single night, but for a moment that only repeats once in a generation. Tracking this required a profound, long-term commitment to the sky, a tradition of knowledge passed down through decades. The moon's phases and its subtle orbital wobbles were also meticulously monitored, allowing priests and planners to predict eclipses, events often seen as moments of cosmic upheaval, and to schedule the most critical community rituals. This lunar knowledge was frequently woven together with solar cycles. At Newgrange in Ireland, the famous winter solstice sunrise alignment is complemented by lunar orientations, suggesting a sophisticated dual calendar system. One calendar, governed by the sun, likely directed the agricultural year and civic functions. The other, ruled by the moon, may have dictated a more sacred ceremonial calendar, marking festivals, royal successions, and offerings to deities. How did they achieve such precision without modern tools? The techniques were elegantly simple yet required immense patience. They might have used a series of standing stones as permanent foresights, watching for years as the moon slowly traveled between them until it finally kissed the edge of the farthest marker. Others may have used still pools of water as reflective observatories, tracking the moon's glinting path on the surface to map its journey. This integration of the lunar cycle into the very streets and temples reveals a holistic worldview where no celestial body was insignificant. The silent, rhythmic pulse of the moon guided not only the functional layout of the city, but also the deepest spiritual currents of its people, connecting their daily lives to a vast cosmic clock. Yet beyond the sun and moon, an even more constant and mysterious map was etched across the night sky, one that never set. Far above the shifting paths of the sun and moon, the fixed stars offered a permanent celestial blueprint. Ancient architects looked to these constant points of light to map entire cities onto the Earth itself. At Teotihuacan in Mexico, the Grand Avenue of the Dead does not run north-south, but instead aligns precisely 15.5 degrees east of north. This was not an error, but a deliberate choice. Scholars propose this entire ceremonial center was a terrestrial mirror of the cosmos, with the avenue echoing the glowing path of the Milky Way across the night sky. The massive pyramid of the sun and the pyramid of the moon might represent specific, brilliant stars or constellations situated along this celestial river. This was urban planning on a cosmic scale, transforming a city into a model of the heavens. The ancient Egyptians performed a similar feat of celestial engineering. They carefully aligned the three great pyramids of Giza to mirror the three stars of Orion's belt, a constellation they associated with Osiris, the god of rebirth and the afterlife. For them, this was not merely an architectural homage. It was a way of building the god's divine home on earth, ensuring the pharaoh's soul could ascend directly to its celestial counterpart. This practice of stellar mapping required more than just observing the sky. It demanded creating star catalogs and developing sophisticated surveying techniques to translate those patterns onto the ground with immense accuracy. They likely used simple but effective tools, like sighting tubes to isolate a single star or long lines of standing stones to mark out precise angles on the landscape. Why would cultures separated by vast oceans and millennia independently arrive at this same profound idea? The answer lies in the stars themselves. They were the one constant, the eternal narrative written across the dome of night. From the deserts of Egypt to the highlands of Mexico, the stars provided a universal language, a shared story of gods, heroes, and creation that every civilization could read and replicate in stone. This collective impulse to build heaven on earth reveals a deep human longing to find our place within the grand cosmic order. Perched high atop a pyramid temple, a Mayan priest astronomer tracked the brilliant wanderings of Venus. His nightly vigil was not a solitary pursuit of science, but a sacred duty. The appearance of this planet in the dawn or evening sky was a powerful omen, dictating the timing of royal coronations, the start of wars, and the most critical agricultural ceremonies. These individuals were the celestial custodians, masterfully blending the roles of religious leader, scientist, and urban planner. Their deep understanding of the cosmos was the very foundation upon which cities were built and societies were governed. To maintain this sacred knowledge across generations, they developed sophisticated recording systems. The Maya meticulously documented celestial cycles in their bark paper codices, while Babylonian astrologer priests in the Middle East pressed cuneiform symbols into clay tablets, creating complex mathematical models to predict the motions of planets. This accumulated wisdom directly influenced the physical world. A temple's doorway might be oriented to catch the first light of the sun on the equinox, or an entire city's main avenue could be aligned with the southernmost rising of the moon, all under the directive of these learned elites. This interplay between religion and science was seamless, not a conflict. The cosmos was a divine text, and the priest astronomer was its most skilled interpreter. He translated celestial patterns into terrestrial order, ensuring that every new construction, from the grandest pyramid to the humblest residential district, was in harmony with the perceived will of the gods. This profound knowledge was often guarded within elite circles, a powerful secret that reinforced social hierarchies while simultaneously driving a remarkable advancement in scientific understanding. The architectural legacy we see today, the grand avenues and perfectly aligned temples, is a direct result of this sacred partnership. The priest astronomer served as the essential bridge between the earthly and the divine, embedding a cosmic blueprint into the very stones of the city. Yet, this grand vision encoded in stone and sky was not confined to a single hemisphere, but emerged independently across the ancient world. A single vertical pole planted firmly in the earth was the beginning of all celestial measurement. This simple gnomon, casting its shifting shadow, was the ancient world's most fundamental scientific instrument. By carefully marking the tip of that shadow throughout the day and across the seasons, an observer could map the sun's entire journey, pinpointing the solstices and equinoxes with remarkable accuracy. But the gnomon was just the start. To track the stars through the long night, the Egyptians developed the merkit, a clever forked sight made from a palm rib. An astronomer would peer through its notch, aligning it with a plumb line to create a perfect vertical reference. By sighting specific stars as they crossed this meridian, they could not only tell the time but also lay out the cardinal directions for their colossal temples and pyramids with an error margin smaller than the width of your finger. How did they manage such precision without a single digital readout? Their genius lay in transforming simple physics into cosmic insight. They used water clocks where the steady drip of liquid from one container to another measured the passing hours, allowing them to time the transit of stars across the sky. In the Americas, the Cardinal Observatory at Chichen Itza stands as a testament to this same innovative spirit. Its peculiar rounded tower is pierced with narrow slit windows, each one strategically framed to capture the light of Venus at its most extreme northerly and southerly sets on the horizon. This was not a single tool but a permanent, stone-built instrument engineered for one specific, generation-spanning purpose. The development of these devices was never a solitary breakthrough. It was a slow, collaborative process of refinement, where knowledge of geometry and astronomy was shared and improved across centuries and sometimes across cultures. The basic principles of the astrolabe, for instance, evolved from ancient Greek thinkers and were later perfected by Islamic scholars, creating a portable model of the universe that could solve complex astronomical problems. What makes these tools so deeply impressive is not their complexity, but their elegant simplicity. They required no advanced electronics, only a profound understanding of natural cycles and a mastery of basic geometry. A pool of still water became a perfect reflector for charting the moon. A length of cord and two stakes could be used to lay out perfect right angles on the ground. These were cosmic compasses fashioned from the everyday world, proving that the most powerful technology is often a keen mind observing the universe with patience and intent. Under the clear desert night, the three great pyramids of Giza stand in a silence that seems to echo across millennia. Their arrangement on the ground has long sparked curiosity, a seemingly uneven line of three. But when you lift your eyes to the heavens, a compelling pattern emerges. The stars of Orion's belt form a similar, distinctive pattern, a celestial trio that the ancient Egyptians associated with Osiris, their god of death, resurrection, and the afterlife. This observation forms the core of the Orion Correlation Theory, a proposal that the entire Giza Plateau is a massive, intentional map of this part of the sky. The theory suggests the architects did not just randomly place these monumental tombs, they carefully positioned them to mirror the stars above, with the pyramid sizes even corresponding to the relative brightness of each star. The southernmost pyramid, Menkora, is smaller, just as the southern star in the belt is dimmer. The theory extends this cosmic blueprint to the landscape itself, proposing that the nearby Nile River was meant to represent the shimmering band of the Milky Way flowing through the celestial realm. This was more than art, it was a profound statement of belief. By building the home of Osiris on Earth, the Egyptians created a divine machine, a gateway to ensure the pharaoh's soul could ascend directly to the immortal stars. Yet this grand idea is not without its challenges. Skeptics point to the slight imperfections in the alignment, arguing that the match is not mathematically perfect and could be a coincidence of chance. They question whether the ancient builders truly possessed the precise surveying technology needed to execute such a detailed stellar map on such a colossal scale. The debate between proponents and critics is a fiery one, but the very intensity of that debate reveals something profound about our own fascination. Whether a precise blueprint or an inspired symbolic gesture, the correlation forces us to confront the sheer ambition of these ancient minds. It pushes us to see their architecture not as mere piles of stone, but as a language, a desperate and beautiful attempt to carve a piece of eternity into the very bedrock of the world. For the ancient Maya, the steady rhythm of Venus was a drumbeat of destiny. They tracked this brilliant planet with such obsessive precision that their calculations of its 584-day cycle were more accurate than those of any other contemporary civilization. This was not an abstract exercise, it was a matter of survival and power. They saw Venus not as a placid morning star, but as a fearsome war deity they called Kukulkan, or the Great Star. Its cyclical appearances and disappearances were interpreted as the god descending into the underworld and then returning, a time of immense cosmic danger and potential. When Venus reappeared in the dawn sky after its period of invisibility, it was a signal to prepare for conflict. Kings would launch military campaigns, timed to harness the perceived chaotic energy of the god, believing it would bring them victory. This celestial timing was so critical that it was physically built into their cities. At Uxmal, the sprawling governor's palace is not aligned to any earthly direction. Its central doorway is oriented precisely toward the southernmost rising point of Venus, a point on the horizon the planet only touches once every 8 years. This was a permanent stone calendar, a declaration that the city's very authority was derived from and synchronized with the cosmos. The proof of their computational genius survives in books like the Dresden Codex, a bark paper manuscript filled with complex astronomical tables. These pages contain detailed charts that could predict the movements of Venus for centuries into the future, correcting for its subtle orbital shifts with mathematical elegance. How did this celestial knowledge shape the average person's life? The entire social and agricultural calendar was intertwined with the planet's cycle. The timing of royal successions, major market days, and the planting of crops were all scheduled around the perceived omens of Venus, creating a society whose daily rhythms pulsed in time with a distant world. The Maya did not just observe the sky, they lived within it, constructing a civilization where stone, ceremony, and the motion of a planet were inextricably linked. Dawn at Angkor Wat transforms the stone complex into a theater of light and shadow. On the equinox, the sun ascends directly over the pinnacle of the central tower, a moment of perfect alignment that seems to set the entire world in balance. This was no accident of design, but the culmination of a grand vision to build the Hindu universe in stone and water. The temple is a precise model of Mount Meru, the mythical axis of the world, its 5 towers representing the mountain's majestic peaks. Surrounding moats do not merely serve as defenses, they are the cosmic oceans that ring this sacred geography. Every dimension of the complex is aligned to the cardinal directions with a precision that rivals modern engineering, an achievement that likely required generations of astronomers tracking the pole star or the sun's unchanging path. How did they translate this celestial blueprint onto the Earth with such flawless accuracy? The builders employed brilliantly simple methods, using long, water-filled trenches as natural mirrors to reflect the stars, allowing them to sight and align massive structures to the heavens above. The walls themselves tell this cosmic story, covered in intricate bas-reliefs depicting devatas, celestial dancers, and scenes from Hindu epics, permanently weaving mythology into the architecture. This monumental effort was driven by more than artistic ambition. It was a divine mandate. The Khmer king was not just a ruler, but a Devaraja, a god king. By constructing a terrestrial copy of the cosmos, he was ensuring the spiritual harmony of his entire kingdom, tethering the prosperity of the land to the eternal order of the universe. Angkor Wat stands as a silent testament to this profound belief, a city designed not just for people, but for the gods themselves, a permanent anchor between the human realm and the divine. A single, unmoving star in the northern sky held the key to earthly order. For an ancient surveyor, locating Polaris, our North Star, was the first and most critical step in imposing cosmic structure onto the chaos of the landscape. By marking the point on the horizon directly beneath this fixed celestial pivot, they could establish a true north that would never waver. With this one constant line, they could then lay out the other 3 cardinal directions, creating a perfect cross on the land that mirrored the fundamental axis of the universe itself. This was not merely a practical exercise in cartography. In countless cultures, these 4 directions were saturated with deep symbolic power. North might represent the realm of ancestors or cold wisdom, south the land of growth and life, east the dawn of birth and beginnings, and west the sunset and the journey to the afterlife. They were associated with specific elements, seasons, colors, and even deities. To align a city to these points was to weave those sacred meanings directly into its streets and temples, making the entire settlement a living symbol of cosmic balance. The practical methods to achieve this were as ingenious as they were precise. One common technique involved observing the rotation of the circumpolar stars around the north celestial pole, using their endless circle to pinpoint the true center. Another, simpler method used a vertical gnomon, by marking the tip of its shadow at different times of the day and connecting the arcs, or by noting the shortest shadow cast at local noon. A perfect north-south line could be drawn with astonishing accuracy. We see this principle executed with breathtaking uniformity in the ancient Indus Valley city of Mohenjo-Daro. Its streets were laid out in a rigid grid, running precisely north-south and east-west. This was not the haphazard growth of an organic settlement, but evidence of a centralized, sophisticated authority that understood how to translate celestial order into urban efficiency. This cardinal alignment delivered profound practical benefits. Buildings could be positioned to capture optimal sunlight for warmth in the winter and shade in the summer, while the grid itself facilitated ventilation, allowing prevailing winds to channel through the city. But beyond this clever engineering lay a deeper purpose. It reflected a worldview where a human settlement was a microcosm, a small-scale model of a perfectly structured universe. So how did different cultures interpret this four-part symbolism? For the ancient Chinese, the directions were central to the practice of feng shui, governing the flow of energy and dictating the placement of everything from cities to homes. In many Native American traditions, the four directions formed a sacred hoop, each one guardian to a specific aspect of life and nature. By embedding these values into a city's very orientation, the architects ensured that every citizen, simply by walking its aligned streets, was unconsciously participating in a grand cosmic narrative. The celestial clockwork is far from fixed. The sky itself is in a state of slow, majestic drift, a phenomenon known as the precession of the equinoxes. Over a cycle of 26,000 years, the entire celestial sphere gradually wobbles, causing the position of the equinoxes to slide backward through the constellations of the zodiac. This is not a change any single person could witness in their lifetime. Detecting it required meticulous record-keeping across generations, a tradition of observation so enduring that it hints at scientific institutions far more sophisticated than we often assume. The ancient Greek astronomer Hipparchus is credited with its discovery around 134 BC, but evidence suggests this knowledge may be far older. Could the Great Sphinx of Giza, with its lion's body, be gazing directly at the constellation Leo on the spring equinox, but as it appeared not in modern times but in 10,500 BC? This radical theory proposes that the monument is a time capsule aligned to a sky from a forgotten epoch. If true, it means the architects were not just mapping the contemporary heavens, but were encoding a knowledge of this grand cosmic cycle into their most enduring creations. This long-term perspective fundamentally changes how we interpret ancient alignments. A temple that seems slightly askew today might have been in perfect harmony with a specific star 2,000 years ago. Precession forces us to look at these sites not as static monuments, but as snapshots of a moving sky. It raises a profound question about the purpose of such structures. Were they built only for their own time, or were they intended as permanent markers in a changing cosmos, designed to remain significant across millennia? The very possibility that ancient planners incorporated this slow dance of the stars into their blueprints suggests a vision of time so vast it challenges our modern understanding of history and science. The stones of an ancient city could tell a story as clearly as any spoken epic. In Athens, the entire Acropolis was a divine narrative carved from marble, its temples and altars carefully positioned to honor Athena and celebrate her victory in the contest for the city's patronage. This was sacred geography, a physical landscape mapped onto a mythological one, Across the ancient world, architects embedded these cosmic stories into their urban blueprints, using celestial alignments to represent great battles, creation myths, and the lineages of the gods. In Mesopotamia, the massive ziggurats were not just temples, they were conceptual stairways to heaven, their corners often aligned with stars linked to specific deities like Anu or Ishtar. This symbolic layer transformed the entire city into a living, breathing myth. A citizen walking down a main avenue was not merely traveling from one place to another, they were retracing the steps of a hero or passing through a domain of a god. This intentional design reinforced cultural values at every turn, creating a powerful sense of shared identity and social cohesion. The city itself became a giant mnemonic device. You did not need a scroll to remember the story of your people's origins. You simply had to point to the Great Pyramid on the northern hill, aligned with the star that represented the first king. How did this deep symbolism influence the most practical aspects of urban life? It dictated everything. A trade route might follow a path said to be taken by a culture bringing deity, ensuring its safety and sanctity. Canals for water management were often aligned to mirror celestial rivers like the Milky Way, blending hydraulic engineering with cosmic symbolism. The stones were more than building materials, they were the permanent custodians of legend, ensuring that every generation would walk through their history and live within their myths, keeping the stories alive long after the scribes and poets were gone. An archaeologist in a dusty archive compares a star chart from ancient Egypt with another from a Mayan codex, and a shiver of recognition runs down her spine. Separated by an ocean and thousands of years, the two cultures have drawn strikingly similar lines between the same stars and the same solstices. This is the great puzzle of archaeoastronomy, a pattern of parallel thought emerging independently across the globe. How could societies that never met, from the builders of Stonehenge on the English plains to the engineers of Kapon in the Honduran jungle, arrive at the same profound conclusion to anchor their most sacred sites to the solar extremes? They faced universal human challenges, the need to predict the turning of the seasons for planting and harvest, the desire to schedule religious ceremonies for moments of maximum celestial power. The sky was the one universal calendar, a clock visible to all, and it seems the human mind, when confronted with the same cosmic puzzle, often devised remarkably similar solutions. This independent innovation speaks to a shared cognitive toolkit, a fundamental human drive to find patterns, impose order on chaos, and seek meaning in the heavens above. We see this shared fascination reflected in the stars they chose to venerate. The constellation of Orion, for instance, was a celestial landmark for cultures as diverse as the Egyptians, the ancient Chinese, and the Mesoamerican Maya. The tight cluster of the Pleiades stars often signaled the start of the agricultural year, their heliacal rising, their first appearance before dawn, serving as a signal for planting from the Mediterranean to the Americas. This was not a transferred idea, but a parallel discovery, a testament to the compelling nature of these bright, distinctive star patterns. The recurring alignment of cities and temples reveals a deep, perhaps innate, human yearning to build a bridge between our earthly existence and the perceived perfection of the cosmos. It is a silent, stone-built language spoken by cultures across time, all declaring the same fundamental truth, that we are not separate from the universe, but a conscious part of its grand, orderly design. The sheer scale of these celestial blueprints demanded a workforce as vast as the vision itself. Envision thousands of laborers, not slaves driven by a whip, but a community united by a shared cosmic purpose, hauling multi-ton stone blocks across the desert. Their tools were deceptively simple: ropes, wooden sledges, and sighting poles, yet their objective was breathtakingly complex: to translate a star chart onto the landscape with an accuracy that spanned kilometers. This was not random construction. It was a generations-long exercise in sophisticated project management. Master architects directed this monumental effort, using graduated measuring cords knotted at precise intervals and long water-filled trenches that served as natural levels to maintain perfect horizontals across undulating terrain. Their genius lay in scaling up, taking a small ceremonial model and using fundamental geometric principles, like creating perfect right angles with a simple 12-knot rope, to replicate those divine proportions across an entire city site. The Nazca lines in Peru stand as a stunning testament to this capability. Though not a city, these vast geoglyphs of animals and straight lines etched into the desert floor are aligned with solstice sunrises and mountain springs. Created without the benefit of flight, their makers used ropes and stakes to scale up small models into enormous, perfectly proportioned figures only fully visible from the sky. The logistical challenges were immense, from quarrying the right stone to transporting it miles across rugged land, all while ensuring that the final alignment deviated by less than a hair's breadth over a mile. How did ancient societies possibly motivate and organize such a monumental, multi-generational investment of human labor? The answer lies not in tyranny, but in a deeply held, unifying belief. The entire community, from the farmer to the stonemason, was participating in a divine act. By building a gateway to the gods or mirroring the heavens on earth, they were ensuring cosmic order, seasonal fertility, and the very survival of their civilization. Their collective toil was a form of prayer, a sacred effort that bound them to the universe itself. A community gathers in the central plaza as the sun crests the peak of a precisely aligned pyramid. In that moment of perfect alignment, the boundary between earth and sky dissolves, and every participant feels connected to the cosmic order. This profound experience was the ultimate goal, the reason why ancient societies invested generations of labor into celestial city planning. The Precession served three deeply intertwined purposes: religious, practical, and political, each one essential to the civilization's survival and identity. On a religious level, these alignments were acts of devotion. A temple doorway framing the equinox sun was not just a clever trick of light. It was a direct channel to a solar deity, a way to honor that god and ensure their continued favor. By mirroring the stars in their city layout, they were building a home for the gods on Earth, reinforcing the sacred balance of the cosmos and preventing chaos from descending into their world. This celestial architecture made the divine tangibly present in daily life. Practically, these alignments were the civilization's operating system. The same pyramid that served as a spiritual conduit also functioned as a massive, unerring calendar. By tracking the sun's shadow along a causeway or observing a star's rise over a specific temple, priests could announce the exact time to plant maize or harvest wheat, securing the food supply for thousands. For seafaring cultures, stellar alignments etched into landmarks on shore provided critical navigational aids, guiding ships safely across treacherous waters. This was high-stakes science where a misalignment could mean famine or shipwreck, making the astronomer's role as vital as the farmer's. Politically, this cosmic knowledge was a powerful source of authority. A king who could predict an eclipse or command the construction of a solstice-aligned city demonstrated a unique connection to the gods. He was not just a ruler, he was the essential intermediary between the people and the cosmos. This special access to celestial secrets legitimized his power, justifying social hierarchies and uniting the population under a shared, awe-inspiring vision. The city itself became a permanent monument to the ruler's divine mandate. So why did this practice echo from the deserts of Egypt to the jungles of Central America? It answered a universal human yearning for meaning, for order in a seemingly chaotic world, and for a connection to something greater than ourselves. These stone alignments were humanity's first great attempt to write our story not on parchment, but on the earth itself, using the eternal stars as our guide. A sleek documentary flashes across the screen, its narrator's voice dripping with mystery as it credits ancient wonders to visitors from other worlds. This captivating fiction, however, obscures a far more impressive truth: the profound ingenuity of humanity itself. The field of archaeoastronomy constantly battles such sensational myths, from ancient astronauts to tales of a single, lost super-civilization that ceded all knowledge. These narratives often share a common flaw: they strip ancient peoples of their own intellectual triumphs, replacing generations of patient observation with a deus ex machina from the stars. Responsible scholarship, in contrast, builds its case on a sturdy tripod of evidence: cultural context drawn from myths and artifacts, solid archaeological data from the site itself, and rigorous statistical analysis to confirm that an alignment is unlikely to be mere chance. Consider a simple stone circle. A fringe theory might claim it is a landing beacon for alien ships because one stone points to a bright star. A researcher like Clive Ruggles, however, would first ask if that star held any significance in the local cosmology, then examine excavation reports for tools or offerings that suggest ritual use, and finally calculate the probability of that specific alignment occurring randomly given the surrounding landscape. This methodical approach frequently reveals that while some stones were placed with celestial precision, others might be oriented for practical reasons, like following a natural ridgeline or aligning with a source of fresh water. How then can we tell a genuine celestial blueprint from an imaginative coincidence? The key is critical thinking and interdisciplinary collaboration. An astronomer can identify a precise alignment, but only an anthropologist can say if it mattered to the culture that built it. An alignment found in 10 different temples across a region suggests a shared cultural practice. A single odd one might just be a builder's convenient choice. By dismissing the fantastical, we do not diminish the past, we honor it. We celebrate the real, hard-won genius of human cultures who, with nothing but their eyes, their minds, and their deep connection to the sky, achieved wonders that truly were out of this world. A mountain peak could become a divine sundial. For ancient architects, the local landscape was not an obstacle to their celestial plans, but a vital partner. The jagged horizon of the Andes, for instance, offered a ready-made calendar. Instead of building towering stone circles, a culture could use the natural notches between mountains as permanent foresights, watching for the moment the sun or moon rose in a specific gap to mark a solstice or a lunar standstill. This was celestial observation in perfect harmony with geography, a system that required no construction, only generations of intimate knowledge passed down about which peak aligned with which cosmic event. The climate itself dictated which celestial bodies were most reliably observed. In the perpetually clear skies of ancient Egypt, tracking the steady sun and the fixed stars was a straightforward, nightly endeavor. But in the cloudier, misty highlands of northern Europe, a culture might have placed greater emphasis on the moon or the bright planets like Venus, which can often be seen shining through partial cloud cover. Their entire astronomical tradition would then be built around these more visible wanderers. This environmental adaptation reveals a profound practicality. The Intihuatana stone at Machu Picchu is a masterclass in this hybrid design. This intricately carved granite pillar does not work in isolation. Its precise angles are calculated to catch the sun's rays at the equinoxes, but its position and the shadows it casts are also in a deliberate dialogue with the encircling sacred mountains, the Apus. It is a single instrument that reads both sky and earth simultaneously, a perfect fusion of the built and the natural world. How did this relationship shape cultural identity? A river, seen as a terrestrial echo of the Milky Way, would naturally become the central axis of a city's plan. A solitary, distinctive hill on the flat plain might be chosen as the foundation for a temple, simply because the moon rose directly over its summit once every 18 years. The land was not a blank canvas, but a co-author of the cosmic blueprint. This deep integration meant that the astronomy of one region could never be exactly replicated in another, because the local environment provided a unique set of tools and challenges. The celestial principles were universal, but their implementation was beautifully, uniquely local. The principles that guided Teotihuacan's builders are finding new life in the drafting tables of 21st century urban planners. While a modern architect is not consulting star charts for a new civic center, she is using sophisticated software to model the sun's path, ensuring that every apartment in a new development captures optimal daylight throughout the year. This is not a spiritual practice, but a practical one driven by a pressing need for sustainability. The ancient emphasis on harmony with the environment directly prefigures modern movements like biomimicry, where designs are inspired by natural forms, and the push for eco-cities that strive for a net-zero ecological footprint. We see the legacy of those old alignments in neighborhoods deliberately oriented to maximize solar gain in winter and provide natural shading in summer, drastically cutting down on energy consumption. Some intentional communities and eco-villages take this a step further, consciously designing their central commons to be illuminated by the solstice sunrise, weaving a thread of cultural continuity and a tangible connection to the seasons back into the fabric of daily life. This is not mere nostalgia, it is a recognition that these ancient strategies were born from a deep, long-term understanding of place. They knew that fighting the environment was futile, but integrating with it was the key to resilience. So how do we blend this ancestral wisdom with our powerful modern technology? The answer lies in seeing ancient sites not as ruins, but as case studies in successful environmental adaptation. Their solar alignments were a form of passive solar design, their use of prevailing winds for ventilation a masterclass in natural cooling. By studying these time-tested approaches, we can inform our own sustainable practices, learning how to build cities that are not just efficient machines, but living systems in sync with their local climate and celestial rhythms. The stars may no longer be our primary guides, but the core lesson of their celestial blueprints endures, a timeless call to create built environments that are thoughtfully, respectfully integrated with the natural world. A laser pulse sweeps from a low-flying plane, piercing the dense canopy of a Guatemalan jungle. On the ground, this technology known as LIDAR is revealing what centuries of growth have hidden, the ghostly outlines of a vast Mayan ceremonial platform, its edges aligned to points on the horizon no human eye has seen for a millennium. This is the new frontier of celestial archaeology, where technology is not just an aid but a revelation, allowing us to see through Earth and time to recover the grand designs of the ancient architects. Satellite imagery from platforms like Google Earth lets researchers survey entire regions in minutes, identifying potential alignments across landscapes that would take a lifetime to traverse on foot. Once a promising site is found, sophisticated software such as Stellarium can wind back the cosmic clock, reconstructing the precise night sky as it appeared over that platform 2,000 years ago, testing in seconds whether a long causeway truly pointed toward the rising of Venus. This digital toolkit has led to stunning confirmations, like the recent mapping of Aguada Phoenix in Mexico, the largest and oldest Mayan monument ever discovered. Through LIDAR, researchers saw its massive rectangular platform was deliberately oriented to face the sun on the summer solstice, a celestial anchor for a society just beginning its journey into urban life. This technological lens also serves as a crucial filter for truth. When a wild theory claims a stone circle is an ancient observatory, the same software can provide the statistical probability, often showing that a proposed alignment is no more significant than random chance. The real power lies in the marriage of these digital methods with the slow, careful work of traditional excavation. A satellite can suggest an alignment, but only a trowel in the soil can find the offering bowl left at the base of a sighting stone, confirming its ritual use. This partnership between the pixel and the pickaxe is building a richer, more nuanced understanding of how deeply the cosmos was woven into daily life. As processing power grows and scanning technologies become ever more sensitive, what other invisible cities and their hidden star maps will we finally bring to light? We are no longer just deciphering a forgotten language of the stars. We are learning to see the entire cosmos through the eyes of those who first sought to build it here on Earth. A new hotel's planned silhouette could permanently sever a sacred connection forged in stone millennia ago. This is the stark reality facing many ancient sites today, where the unbroken sightline to a solstice sunrise is as fragile as it is profound. The field of archaeoastronomy now confronts urgent ethical questions that extend far beyond academic debate. When a development project threatens to disrupt a celestial alignment, it ignites a fundamental conflict between modern progress and the preservation of a cultural legacy. These are not merely old stones, they are living temples, calendars, and altars for descendant communities whose spiritual practices are intrinsically tied to that precise moment of astronomical alignment. Their voices, historically sidelined in both exploration and excavation, are now rightly demanding a central role in the conversation about how these sites are studied, managed, and protected. This collaborative approach, often called community archaeology, transforms research from an extraction of data into a shared endeavor. It means scientists learning from indigenous knowledge keepers, whose oral histories often contain precise astronomical details that confirm and enrich the physical evidence. This partnership is crucial because the threats are multifaceted and relentless. Looters tunnel beneath pyramids, seeking treasure but destroying the foundational layers that hold alignment clues. Urban sprawl and light pollution from growing cities wash out the very stars the monuments were built to witness. Even climate change plays a role, as shifting weather patterns and extreme erosion can alter the surrounding landscape, subtly changing the horizon points that are essential to the celestial geometry. International recognition through UNESCO World Heritage status provides a powerful shield, offering legal protection and funding for conservation. Yet a designation on a list is not enough. It requires ongoing vigilance and local stewardship. How do we balance the desire for tourism, which brings essential revenue and global awareness, with the need to prevent the wear and tear of thousands of footsteps on sacred ground? The answer often lies in managed access, virtual reconstructions, and educating visitors on the profound significance of what they are witnessing, transforming them from passive spectators into respectful guardians. The ultimate ethical imperative is a shift in perspective. We must stop seeing these alignments as relics of a dead past and start recognizing them as living cultural treasures. They are a continuous thread connecting humanity across time, a testament to a universal yearning to find our place in the cosmos. Preserving that thread is not an obstacle to progress, it is a measure of our civilization's wisdom, ensuring that the silent dialogue between Earth and sky can continue for generations yet to come. Every sunrise that bathed the main avenue in a precise path of light was a collective sigh of relief for the entire community. These celestial alignments were far more than architectural feats. They were masterfully engineered psychological anchors, designed to foster a deep sense of belonging, wonder, and cosmic connection among the people. In a world filled with the unpredictability of weather, disease, and conflict, the unwavering reliability of the solstice sun or the cyclical return of Venus provided a profound comfort. It was a predictable rhythm in a chaotic existence, a promise from the universe itself that order would always be restored. This structured time, marked by shared public rituals, gave life a meaningful cadence, reducing existential anxiety by making the vast, impersonal cosmos feel personal and attentive. The sheer visual grandeur of these moments was equally transformative. Imagine the emotional surge as the equinox sun crowned the pyramid, flooding the temple courtyard and illuminating the gold-adorned statue within. This was not a quiet, private awe, but a powerful, communal experience. The gasps of the crowd, the collective focus, the shared recognition of a divine signal, all served to weld individuals into a unified whole, reinforcing social bonds and absolute religious devotion. In many ways, these ancient architects were pioneering a form of environmental psychology, using the built environment as a direct tool to enhance human well-being. They intentionally designed moments of breathtaking spectacle to cultivate resilience, cultural continuity, and a robust collective identity. How do these ancient practices compare to our modern efforts to design well-being into urban spaces? We build parks for mental respite and design public plazas for social interaction, yet we often lack that transcendent layer, that deliberate connection to a reality larger than ourselves. The human craving for meaning and beauty in our surroundings is a timeless drive, one that the master builders of the past understood and encoded into their celestial cities, creating environments that nourished the human spirit just as surely as they housed the human body. A young researcher today might train an artificial intelligence on thousands of satellite images of ancient sites, searching for a subtle, global pattern in their alignments that no human eye could ever detect. This is the thrilling frontier of archaeoastronomy, a field poised to leap forward by merging with disciplines once thought unrelated. The next decade could see teams of geneticists, linguists, and astronomers collaborating to trace the movement of celestial knowledge not through artifacts alone, but through the migration of peoples and the shared roots of words for stars and seasons. Major questions still hang in the air, unresolved and tantalizing. How many cultures truly understood the grand 26,000-year wobble of precession? Did the builders of the Sphinx encode this slow celestial drift into its gaze? Beyond sight, could these alignments have served another, more subtle sense? Researchers are beginning to explore the potential for acoustic purposes, investigating whether a solstice-aligned corridor was designed to amplify a specific chant or create an echo that mimicked the perceived voice of a god. On the horizon, even more speculative tools await. Emerging technologies in quantum sensing might one day be sensitive enough to detect faint, residual energy patterns or magnetic anomalies along these ancient sightlines, though such ideas remain firmly in the realm of theory for now. The most critical shift, however, is not technological but cultural. The field is increasingly recognizing that the most advanced software cannot replace the deep, contextual knowledge held by indigenous scholars. Their oral histories and cultural continuity are essential for interpreting an alignment not as a cold, geometric line, but as a living prayer, a territorial claim, or a memory of ancestral journey. This collaborative approach helps dismantle long-held Western biases, moving us toward a truly holistic understanding where a city's orientation is seen as one part of an integrated system of ritual, ecology, and social structure. What groundbreaking discovery could truly reshape our view? It might be an eye identifying a universal alignment principle used from Britain to Bolivia, or a linguist finding a common word for Orion in languages across continents. The quest to fully decode these skyward blueprints has only just begun, and its next chapters promise to reveal even more profound depths of ancient human ingenuity. Tonight, you can become a celestial architect from your own backyard. This profound connection to the sky is not locked away in ancient ruins. It is a living practice waiting for you to rediscover it. Begin by simply stepping outside after dark and observing the horizon from your window or porch. Notice where the moon rises or track the steady procession of the constellations as the night deepens. With a free smartphone app like Star Walk or Sky Safari, you can hold your device to the heavens and instantly identify the bright stars and planets above you, turning the anonymous night sky into a map of named wonders. This simple act of recognition is the first step every ancient sky watcher took. To make the connection even more tangible, try a simple experiment. Plant a stick in a patch of ground and mark the tip of its shadow with a small stone every hour throughout the day. By sunset, you will have traced the sun's own path, creating a personal solar calendar that demonstrates the same fundamental principle used to align the pyramids. For a more communal experience, seek out a local park with a known solstice or equinox event. Standing with a crowd to witness the sun set in perfect alignment with a monument's central axis is to feel a direct physical link to the past, a shared moment of awe that transcends centuries. Your own camera can be a powerful tool for this exploration. Photograph the full moon as it rises directly between two familiar buildings, or capture the sun's glare at noon on different dates to see how its height changes. These images become your personal data set, a record of celestial motion in your own neighborhood. To deepen your journey, connect with a local astronomy club or university public night, where you can peer through telescopes and learn from experienced observers. The true magic happens when you share what you find. Post your photos or describe your observations in the comments, creating a digital gathering place for modern sky watchers. How does noticing the Pleiades cluster first appear in the pre-dawn autumn sky change your feeling for the turning of the seasons? This personal engagement transforms abstract concepts into felt knowledge. By becoming an active observer, you are not just learning about history, you are participating in the very same human tradition of wonder that guided the builders of Angkor and the astronomers of Cardinal, using the technology in your pocket to reclaim your own place in the cosmic order. These celestial blueprints are a timeless testament to human curiosity, a profound declaration that we have always sought our place within the grand cosmos. From the solar markers of Stonehenge to the stellar maps of Giza, these alignments reveal a sophisticated understanding of astronomy that fundamentally shaped civilizations across the globe. The legacy of these ancient builders challenges us to see beyond the stone, to appreciate the beautiful intersection of science, spirituality, and art in the world's earliest urban designs. Their work was not merely functional, it was a form of philosophy written in geometry and light. Let this journey inspire you to step outside and look up at the night sky with new eyes. Recognize the same constellations of Orion and the Pleiades that guided priests in Mesopotamia and kings in the Yucatan. Their stars still shine, connecting our modern wonder directly to their ancient gaze. We would love to hear which alignment fascinated you most, whether it was the Venus doorway at Uxmal or the solstice precision of Angkor. Share your thoughts in the comments below and subscribe for more explorations into history's greatest mysteries. The stars above continue to whisper the stories of those who once walked the earth, leaving behind a celestial heritage for us to decipher, to cherish, and to carry forward.